When you ask somebody to name you an album by Oasis, you'll probably get the same 2 hours being definitely maybe or What's the Story Morning Glory. And even sometimes when someone's a fucking icon and has absolutely biblical musical taste, they'll say Be Here Now. But one thing I can safely say is that unless this person is an Oasis superfan, you probably won't hear them say the 4th album made by Oasis, Standing on the Shoulders of Giants. Standing on the Shoulder of Giants is the 4th album by Oasis and was released on the 28th of February 2000. This album, just like the ones that came before it, had some standout tracks such as Go Let It Out, Who Feels Love and Gas Panic. But despite all these great tracks, this album has become one of Oasis' most forgotten about albums, which naturally spawns the question, why? Well, today we aim to find out as I look into the history of this underrated gem and see why most Oasis fans haven't bothered to give it as much attention as its predecessors. The album's title originates from a famous expression attributed to Sir Isaac Newton, saying, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." However, Noel Gallagher misquoted it after spotting the phrase inscribed on the edge of a £2 coin while drinking in a pub. Struck by how profound it sounded, he decided to make a fitting name for Oasis' next album. While intoxicated, he scribbled the title onto the side of a cigarette packet. The next morning, upon sobering up, he realised he had mistakenly written Standing on the Shoulder of Giants rather than the grammatically correct shoulders. Additionally, instead of writing album title, he had accidentally jotted down album title. Despite the error, the name stuck and the album was released under the slightly altered phrase. For this record, Noel made a deliberate departure from the equipment and production techniques used on Oasis' previous 3 albums. Instead, he invested in a collection of unconventional gear, including vintage pedals, old guitars and small amplifiers. With no strict deadline for completion, he had the freedom to experiment extensively, taking his time to craft new sonic textures and explore different musical landscapes. During the album's recording process, Oasis underwent a significant lineup change. Founding members Paul Bonehead Arthurs, who was on guitar, and Paul Grigsby McGinn, who was on bass, both left the band before the session was completed, for legal reasons. The recorded parts had to be re-recorded with Noel handling nearly all the instrumentation, assisted by additional session musicians. As a result, Standing on the Shoulder of Giants primarily features Noel and Gallagher alongside drummer Alan White, the only 3 band members depicted on the album's cover. Shortly after its release, guitarist Jem Archer and bassist Andy Bell officially joined the band as Bonehead and Giggs' replacements, solidifying Oasis' new lineup. The album produced 4 singles released between February and July of 2000. The opening track of In the Bushes stands out as an instrumental piece devoid of traditional vocals, but featuring notable spoken word samples. These excerpts are taken from Message to Love, a documentary about the Isle of Wight festival in 1970. The most striking sample comes from the festival MC Ricky Farr, who is heard furiously reprimanding the unruly crowd. "We put this festival on, you b****s. With a lot of love, we work for 1 year for you pigs. And you want to break our walls down and you want to destroy it, well you go to hell." In addition to Farr's outburst, the track also incorporates remarks from 2 other festival attendees featured in the film. The aggressive energy of the track made it a popular choice for Oasis live performances, often used as an opening song to hype up the audience. One of the album's most personal and introspective tracks, Gas Panic, was directly influenced by Noel Gallagher's struggles with severe anxiety and withdrawal symptoms as he attempted to quit drugs in anticipation of the birth of his daughter, Anais. Describing his state of mind at the time, he recalled, "Gas Panic was written while I was just lying in bed sweating, the usual 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning thinking, fucking hell, is it all worth it?" The song's eerie swirling instrumentation and dark lyrical imagery reflected his inner turmoil, making it one of the most unique and haunting tracks in Oasis' catalogue. Despite the album's commercial success, it faced some distribution issues in certain markets. Retail giant Walmart chose not to stock Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, citing concerns over the explicit language in Fucking in the Bushes. This decision was consistent with the chain's policy of avoiding albums with profanity in titles, though the album remained widely available through other retailers. The album's cover art features a striking photograph of the Manhattan skyline, taken from the rooftop of 500 Fifth Avenue at the intersection of 5th Avenue and West 42nd Street. Several iconic buildings are visible, most notably the Empire State Building in the foreground and the former World Trade Center towers in the background. To create the final image, the photographer meticulously captured the same frame every half hour over an 18-hour period, documenting the cityscape from dawn to nightfall. These individual shots were then digitally composited, that's an easy way to pronounce it fucking wrong, sorry about that, to produce the final artwork, which showcases a surreal blend of shifting light and time passing over the course of an entire day. The visual theme of the album cover extended to its singles, all of which featured artwork derived from the main image. Notably, the cover for Go Let It Out includes a smaller inset photo of 5 men playing football on a rooftop. This image was originally taken from the rooftop of a football stadium, with the players photographed separately in a car park before being digitally inserted into the final composition. Standing on the Shoulders of Giants also marked a significant departure for Oasis in terms of design, as it was the first album cover not created by Brian Cannon and his design studio, Microdot, who had been responsible for all previous Oasis artwork. This shift signalled a new visual direction for the band, aligning with the album's more experimental and darker musical approach compared to other albums. Standing on the Shoulder of Giants received mixed reviews from critics upon its release. While some praised the album's sonic experimentation and atmospheric production, others felt it lacked the emphatic energy of Oasis's early work. One of the most notable reassessments came from Q magazine, which included the album's B-side Let's All Make Believe in its list of the top 500 lost tracks. The magazine suggested that had the song been included on the album, it probably would have carried the album to another star. However, in a later, more critical evaluation, Q ranked Standing on the Shoulder of Giants at number 46 in its list of the 50 worst albums ever made. Despite the lukewarm critical reception, both Liam and Noel Gallagher have defended aspects of the record. In a 2002 radio interview with Gary Crowley, Liam acknowledged the album's divisive reputation but remained supportive of it, stating, "Some people reckon the album is shit, but I think it's a great album. It's just a bit different." Noel also highlighted certain tracks as standout moments in Oasis' catalogue. He described Go Let It Out as up there with some of the best things that I've done, and in a 2005 interview with Rock Profiles, he singled out Fucking in the Bushes, Go Let It Out, Gas Panic, and Where Did It All Go Wrong as real pieces of music. Additionally, he praised the album's production and sound, particularly for its departure from Oasis' traditional style. Commercially, the album performed well but fell short compared to the band's previous releases. In the UK, Standing on the Shoulder of Giants spent 29 weeks on the album chart, marking the shortest chart run of any Oasis studio album. Nevertheless, it was still the 26th best-selling album in the UK for the year 2000. In the United States, the album debuted at number 24 on the Billboard 200, selling approximately 55,000 copies in its first week. However, sales dropped significantly in the following week, with the album falling into number 84 due to a 64% decline. A resurgence in interest came in April 2000, following the VH1 airing of Behind the Music, a documentary on Oasis' career, which helped boost the album from number 194 to 113 on the Billboard 200. By March 2000, the International Federation of the Phonographic Industry certified the album for sales exceeding 1 million copies in Europe. In a 2011 interview with Grantland, Noel Gallagher disowned Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, admitting that he felt the album should never have been made. Reflecting on the album's creation, he explained that at the time he had no reason or desire to make music, and was simply writing songs for the sake of having an album to release. He further confessed that the process felt uninspired, stating he was just going through the motions. He also acknowledged that the addition of Jen Archer and Andy Bell to the band allowed for a more balanced approach to songwriting, as he could no longer sustain the pressure of writing 20 songs every 2 years. The new dynamic gave him some breathing room, but also reflected the shift in the band's creative direction, which Noel felt was necessary due to his own creative burnout. Despite its creation under less than ideal circumstances, Standing on the Shoulder of Giants has remained a certain place in Oasis' legacy. However, when compared to the band's more iconic albums such as Definitely Maybe, What's Our Morning Glory, and even Be Here Now, it has often been relegated to the background, almost forgotten in the larger narrative of the band's career. The album's mixed critical reception, along with the departure of founding members and a shift in musical direction, made it somewhat harder to embrace as a defining moment in Oasis history. Tracks like Gas Panic and Go Let It Out showcased a darker, more experimental side of the band, but these songs never quite reached the same amphetic status as the iconic hits of their earlier records. Unlike Wonderwall, Live Forever or Don't Look Back in Anger, these tracks didn't become the timeless sing-alongs fans expected from Oasis. As a result, Standing on the Shoulder of Giants became one of the band's less celebrated works, overshadowed by the massive success and cultural impact of their earlier albums. This relative obscurity in comparison to Oasis' other records has contributed to the album being somewhat forgotten over the years. While the album has its fans and was important in its own right for pushing the band into new sonic territory, it didn't leave a lasting imprint on the mainstream culture in the same way as its predecessors. Even Noel has distanced himself from the project, further diminishing its place in the band's iconic catalogue. In the terms of pop culture, however, Standing on the Shoulder of Giants did make its mark beyond music. The track Fucking in the Bushes was used in the 2000 Guy Ritchie crime film Snatch, starring Brad Pitt. The high-energy, chaotic nature of the song made it a perfect fit for the movie's action-packed sequences. In the world of professional wrestling, Fucking in the Bushes also found a home as the entrance theme for British wrestler Nigel McGuinness, who used it during his time in Ring of Honor and later in All Elite Wrestling. These moments helped ensure that the album's music reached beyond Oasis' core fan base and into other facets of pop culture. Though Noel may have been critical of the album years later, Standing on the Shoulder of Giants remains a significant but often overlooked chapter in Oasis' legacy. It marked the band's attempt to evolve and experiment, but it didn't resonate with fans the way their previous albums had done. As time has passed, it has largely faded into their background, overshadowed by towering success and more iconic moments of their earliest work. Despite this, its contribution to the band's evolution and its cultural moments cannot be denied. Alright, and that is a wrap on our deep dive into Standing on the Shoulder of Giants. After looking into the background of this album and considering its impact, I honestly think it doesn't deserve to be forgotten about. Sure, it has its ups and downs, and it's not as iconic as some of Oasis' early albums, such as What's the Story, Morning Glory, and Definitely Maybe, but there's a lot to appreciate in its bold experimentation and the raw emotion behind tracks like Gas Panic and Go Let It Out. If you ask me, it's time we give this album the recognition it deserves. Even if it is a bit underrated in the grand Oasis story, what do you think? Do you think Standing on the Shoulder of Giants should have a bigger place in the band's legacy? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives, and I'll catch you next time on Britpop Rewind. Cheers.